And we are live.
In 2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison by an algorithm for the crime they didn't commit. These producers promptly escaped from maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground. Today, still wanted by social media, they survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Smash team.
Welcome to the live stream. We got lots of stuff to cover, including an Earth-facing CME, coronal mass ejection for you new viewers out there. Let me move my Epic pen and start looking at a lot of things, because there are a lot of things to look at. First, let's look at 171 angstroms. Well, that's odd. And the SDO is not working. Nice timing. All right. Look at the sun now images, because we have a new sunspot, Sunspot 2736. I guess we'll go to the colored magnetogram first. Check it out. Sunspot 2736. It's bigger than 2735, by the way. And it's got some odd polarity. It is not reverse polarity cycle 25 sunspot material, but it's still got some odd polarity. Let me just lower the volume there a little bit. I think we'll leave that on the screen because that's probably going to be our thumbnail. All right. Just happened to notice this B-class flare that just jumped off right about when I was waking up this morning. I'm not aware of any ability to sense X-rays, but there's a sunspot. Let's try and go back and browse that data again. That looked, I'll bet you that was a date problem. Let's try this again. 0 hour until 8:45 universal time. Let's look at 193 angstroms. By the way, folks, this track is called Wei Chang Invades Mars. Wei Chang attacks Mars. All right, well, I guess we can't do any of the zoom-ins. Let's look at 93 angstroms here, 94 angstroms, and get as close up of a view as we can of that sunspots formation. Hopefully the SDO server is just doing some maintenance or something, as it is very early in the morning. And we're going to get to that Earth-facing CME in a moment. And the source of the X-ray flare. All right. Let's see if they've updated the magnetic field lines yet. I know that was messed up too. Let's see if they've fixed that for us. Still from 315. All right. Not good. Not good. All right. Look at the real-time solar wind here. As we saw an uptick in the solar wind velocity yesterday morning, about 5 minutes after our stream. I guess it was actually probably during the stream. In any case, there's 1 day of solar wind for you. We see the BTBZ is converging on the 0 line. And phi angle is around 150 degrees. 147 degrees. So no apparent coronal hole magnetic connection there. Solar wind density, 5.49 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed, 400. So only a small uptick since yesterday. Let's pause the music for a minute. I'm sick of talking over it. All right. Let's look at the gong too, as we should see some changes with this formation of a new sunspot, which again will be called 2736, by the way. If you've got any other suggestions, they will be promptly ignored. Here's some 1 hour, 49-minute old data. By the way, this is stereo A and this is stereo B for those new viewers. We talk about these regularly. All right. So the crossing of the current sheet is still about a day out. Just keep in mind that this can change without warning, as these are magnetic lines, the green being the solar polar north pole associated portion of the current sheet, and the red portion being the solar polar south pole oriented charge portion of the current sheet. Look at spaceweather.com to look at the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, still at 70, still above averages, and for that, we thank you. How about spaceweathernews.com, where Ben Davidson is kind enough to put all of these X-ray stuff. Here's your GOES X-ray flux 1-minute data. And we could be seeing another flare jumping off right now. So here's the time when I was doing my show prep right in here. And right at that time, there was another flare happening. So X-ray flux is in the B range, as there are 2 Earth-facing sunspots. And 2736 looks bigger than 2735. Now let's see if we can figure out where the X-ray came from, and I've got a pretty good idea. Stay tuned to this one all day, because the X-rays are coming in as we speak. Now, X-rays only take 8 minutes to get to the Earth. There's pretty much nothing you can do besides wear a lead hat all the time if you want to try to avoid them. Now, since they're harmless, that would be a silly thing to do. But these are completely different than coronal mass ejections. Often these flares happen and produce no ejecta. However, in this case, they did produce some ejecta. So something was blasted out of one or both of these sunspots. It looked to me like there was a CME that came out of sunspot 2735, which is this one. So this is 36, the newly formed, and this is a smiley face. Because an active sun is something we like more than an inactive sun, even if it looks mean. All right, so you can clearly see that the X-ray flaring is emanating from sunspot 2736. As it bursts into life, I'm pretty sure some of that X-ray is coming out of both of those sunspots at this point. Oh, there's your flare. All right, so since it just happened, it's only the last little tiny portion of the video right there. So there's your flares, and there's a flare going on right now. So congratulations if you're watching, because you don't always get to experience space weather as it occurs. Break out your Geiger counters. All right, just kidding, folks. Anybody in the chat? Do we have viewers? Viewers, identify yourselves. To join my own live streams. It's super fun. Gives me some idea that people are watching. Good morning, Kalo Jan and Monica Hart. All right, next we're looking at the total electron content. This does things like tell you how much GPS error you're going to get. And we are seeing some electrons over the North America, as we have for the past few days. There was a small uptick in relativistic electrons, by the way. We don't talk about that too much on the channel. But we're nowhere near the levels that we were in August of 2018, if that's of any relevance to you. All right. Relativistic electrons are a portion of the solar wind that we don't cover very much here. And we promise we'll do something about it someday. Although, at solar minimum is when you want to look at all the nitty-gritty details. Once you start getting to on your way up to solar maximum, there's going to be so much stuff to cover that it'll be tougher. So let's look at the magnetosphere movies here. Having problems with Zoom today. All right, there we go. So there's the velocity. I really got to get rid of those tooltips. If anybody knows what that setting is, please let me know in the comments, because I don't feel like searching for it through a giant maze of ridiculous menus. All right, so, and my monitor is all dirty, and I'm thinking I'm seeing anomalies, but it's just dirt on my monitor, folks. Bear with me. All right, so here's the density. Nothing too extravagant or extraordinary going on these movies right now, as you would expect. Now, we are going to get to that Earth-facing coronal mass ejection. It's small, and most of the ejecta splashed back down onto the sun. But some of it did make it out into the interplanetary magnetic field region. Here's your density, and density is actually, I mean, your pressure is actually very low, very low. We've got some disparity between bow shock and magnetotail there. Toward the end of the movie, we're showing bow shock at a higher level than magnetotail. So that's a charging situation for the Earth, because current goes in and current comes out, folks. Deal with it. Here are some geospace ground magnetic perturbations. Try to look at these every day. They're provided by University of Michigan Geospace. I don't know if they have a department. Do they have a department? Probably just University of Michigan Geology Department. All right. So we're not going to see a lot of perturbations because there's not a lot of current flowing through right now. Solar wind speed is just kind of average. I'll let that load to see the global view. For you new viewers out there who are not aware of the polar excursion that's going on, the Earth has two north poles right now. One of them is up here. One of them is up here. And we have a south pole that is moving this way. Is it at an alarming rate? Kind of. It's at a high rate. It's a significant polar excursion. And it totally affects the way the current goes through the planet. And it's absolutely associated with things like volcanoes and earthquakes. If you don't believe me, I don't know what to tell you. Let's look at cosmic rays. First, we'll look at Apatity and Barentsburg. There's the data on those. Here's Athens. And let's play some music that I haven't heard myself for quite a long time. This one might get a little weird. It has the voice of one of my more insane friends. And trust me, some of my friends are out of their minds. Here we have Mexico City, Cosmic Ray Monitor. Here we have Moscow, returning no data since February 32nd, February 53rd, February 22nd. Here's Oulu, Finland, which also has links to DOMC and DOMB Antarctica. So there's Finland. There's DOMC Antarctica. Back to sending hourly data, and for that, we thank you. Little spike there. And we often see a total disparity between DOMC and DOMB Antarctica, and that's not a bad thing. Next, let's look at earthquakes. How about the last 24 hours? .7 at the Northern Mariana Islands. We've been seeing a lot of activity there. 4.8 off of L'Espérance Rock, New Zealand. Let me zoom this out a little bit. I got to tell you, I hate this map. All right. 4.1 in the Aleutian chain there. 4.6. 4.6 right on New Zealand. Check that one out. Somebody must have felt that one. Oh, and it's at depth too. See, that's not a good sign right there. Oh, that was felt for sure. That was felt for sure. All right. Check tsunami. We haven't seen that updated since the 13th. Maybe there are no quakes big enough. I guess that must be the case. All right, let's head back to the U.S. downgrade service. Yeah, that's a bad quake right there, folks. That's the kind of quake that portends a larger quake at the surface. That's the kind of quake that leads to a 5+ in the immediate area. So look for anomalous low pressure systems. If you're not familiar with earthquake forecasting, head to quakewatch.net, because everybody should know how to forecast earthquakes. 4.4 at Indonesia. I really hate this map. Let me draw in the watch zones. There's the watch zones. If you're in these areas, please have a plan. There's a huge 6 and 7 magnitude drought, and these areas are going to experience an end in the drought. So when you see the solar activity dip, anomalous low pressure systems, and deep quakes, be ready, because it's gonna happen. 4.4 at Indonesia. I think I already said that. 4.8 at Indonesia. Have I mentioned that I hate this map? It is an uncooperative map. We should be able to make this a different size. I don't know, whatever. Taxpayer dollars at work. Tonga. There's another one at depth. If I had to make an additional spot on the map, I would make it right here. One at Fiji at 472 kilometers depth. Here's a 4.2 in Mexico. 4.6 in Peru at depth. Here's the largest quake. There we go, 5.7 in Turkey. That one probably did some damage. Oh, wow, look at the location. Right in the middle of that feature. Geez, we got any geologists in here? Because that is bizarre. Check it out. Huh. All right. Let's keep this thing moving here so we don't make another hour-long space weather video. Go to zooniverse.org and classify a galaxy, and you should too. Make yourself a login. Here's the one we did yesterday. Check that thing out. That is a funky galaxy. It's got this satellite thing, probably formed by a jet. Don't worry about this pink line. That's some kind of an artifact. So let's classify one. Maybe they'll give us something else weird. Nice. We got a major merge going on here. A major merger? Is that a thing? Features galore. Thanks zooniverse.org. Galaxy Zoo Project. Something else. Is there a bar? I don't know if there's a bar. That's a jumbled up mess is what that is. Is there a spiral arm pattern? Oh, certainly not. Is there a central bulge? Totally. Is it merging or disturbed? 100% merging. 2 bulges. We're just going to basically check everything here. I don't know about a ring, but there's definitely a lens or arc. There's definitely irregular. There's definitely a dust lane. There's definitely overlap. And there's something else. Satellites, another funky galaxy. Will you be the citizen scientist to classify this one? Now let's look at the space weather beacon as promised. Stereo A, showing a coronal mass ejection. And it's headed right down the Earth-facing interplanetary magnetic field pipeline. Let me just densify this. Let me see. We'll do 100 frames. Full resolution, 20 frames per second. Thou shalt see a CME. Check it out. Let's see how big I can make this thing. All right, that was the time for That's What She Said, folks. I think you missed it again. I know you're doing your best. All right, I can't make it any bigger, so. There is a CME on there, and I actually put up more frames than I should have. So let me shrink this down a little bit. I think I did 50. All right, yeah, this is starting right at the end of the day yesterday up until, I'm sorry, the end of the day, the 18th. Isn't it incredible that I could see the CME on my phone and now I can't find it on here, even though I'm looking at the same instrument? All right, let me shrink this even smaller here. We're gonna go. Oh, we've got the wrong date. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. I don't know how new we can go. Let's go. Let's try 8:15. That should show it. You can see some ejecta looks like it came out there. You can kind of see the flare. You can absolutely see the flare. It's very tough to tell which is which. I mean, both of those sunspots are probably in line with this portion here. So what we're looking at is right in this region. You can see some ejecta heading out this way, and it's right about in this line. And that's right where the interplanetary magnetic field is. And the interplanetary magnetic field is right where you are. So it looks high speed, but not high density. So if we see a sudden weird little spike in the solar wind about 2 days out, but anyway, we'll leave links for this in the description. The way to get to this, by the way, folks, and you should check it out yourself. Don't believe us. Do your own research, because occasionally we are incorrect. So anyway, if you head to this page, let me clear layout. It'll put me back on the home page. This is the display you'll see, and you're on solar. Just go to page 7. Click on the Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon, and that's exactly what we're looking at. If you just click on movie, it will show you the latest data. And if you go here, you can increase the resolution. So let's make it 50. And that's how to use that. Hope that helps. There's that coronal mass ejection. It's very minor, but it is headed right down the pipe. So nothing to get your panties in a bunch about. Let's move on to the location of the planets. While we have everybody thinking about such views. Stereo A, by the way, is someplace around here. Stereo B is someplace around here. Actually, they're much, my mistake. They're actually right on the Earth's orbit. So they're more like here and, geez, I don't know which planet's which, do I? Here and not here. Yeah, you get it. Anyway, that's where they're located. Here's where the planets will be in 1 week. By the way, we're doing a spring equinox live stream tonight. Actually, it'll be late this afternoon. It'll be starting at 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time. The spring equinox falls, vernal equinox, whatever you want to call it, falls at 5:58 Eastern Daylight Time. So please join us for that. We have a bunch of people chatting. Let me get to some comments here. All right. By the way, if you get up just before sunrise, you will see a extremely bright Venus on your eastern ecliptic. Yes, very active day, Bethany, very active. In fact, let's go look back, because there was stuff going on. Please let us load the data. We will really appreciate it. This is what we want to see. It didn't work earlier. Let's see if it works. How about colorized magnetogram? Please work. Please work. Oh, you're killing us, SDO. Absolutely none of these are going to work. I don't know why. Huh. Well, at least we can look at the current photos. Let's look at the intensity gram here. Maximum resolution. So there's 2736, and there's 2735. You can see this new sunspot much bigger, much bigger. And there's some odd polarity going on. It's not reverse polarity, it's just weird polarity. So there's 35, there's 2736. And that's a pretty serious sunspot. That's not quite as small and weak as this one. So here's the magnetogram. Let's actually refresh that. Boom. So that's a solid sunspot there. And yeah. By the way, new viewers, if you're not familiar with our officially endorsed channels, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please bear with us. Google, I'm going to get you, Google. Google, I'm going to get you. I have a question. Oh, never mind. Love that. Who needs your own YouTube page to actually load? I mean, why would you need something like that? That's crazy talk. All right. If you're not familiar with our channel, we've got these featured channels you should also check out, such as Sky Scholar, Suspicious Observers, Adapt 2030, David Lapointe, which is listed twice for no reason, Tony Heller, Thunderbolts Project, TSM Solar Observations, The Starman, Electric View, Maverick Star Reloaded, Ice Age Farmer, Oppenheimer Ranch Project, and David Schlotauer. Those are in random order, by the way. All right. Why do you have two big flat circles on your monitor, College Ann? I don't understand that. Hello, Dakota Horn. End to the wife. Well, Bethany, the reason is because the reason we got to use the USGS map is because we like to use quakes.globalincidentmap.com, but that one, it's only going to show you one screen of earthquakes, so we need to do the full 24 hours each morning so everybody knows where everything's happening. Good morning, Manuela. I am aware of a supervolcano, Mr. Raider. If you'd like to put links to those two supervolcanoes someplace, we would be much obliged. We do not stop people from putting URLs in here. And if you've got problems putting URLs in the live chat, just put them in the chat afterwards. I mean, in the comments section afterwards. Not only can supervolcanoes affect the climate, supervolcanoes will absolutely catastrophically affect the climate if they go off. Even regular volcanoes affect the climate. We had Bezimiani went off for 2 days with a 50,000-foot ash plume. That's most definitely stratospheric injection. Some of the sulfur compounds will stay up there for years, and they are associated with global cooling because they increase cloud nucleation. Cloud nucleation increases the Earth's albedo. Increased cosmic rays further increase cloud nucleation. All of these solar minima type phenomenon are associated with global cooling. Am I saying the globe is cooling? Nope. Am I saying the globe is warming? Nope. Keep in mind, a cooler planet will kill people off promptly. A warmer planet will make farming more efficient and make it easier to sustain 8 billion people. All right. Major mergers. Major mergers. Major mergers are just prior to mass perturbations. Yes. My take on Planet X is that it's not there. Planet X, Nibiru, Nemesis, whatever you want to call it. There's people with crazy ideas who think there's a planet in the Earth's magnetotail which is the most ridiculous idea of all, in that amateur astronomers with backyard telescopes are able to spot asteroids through the process of occultation. When one object blocks a star, that's how we follow things like Oumuamua or whatever it's called. We use occultation. We know where a star is, and when something moves in front of it, now we know there's an object there, and we can track it thusly. Get it? If there was a planet floating around in the solar system, we'd see it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of backyard astronomers would see it. We don't see it because it isn't there. That's my take on Planet X. Earbuds will flip back when I get up from my chair and it hits the screen in crucial places too, because I forgot I have the buds in my ears when I get up. That sounds like a personal technical difficulty, Kalojan. What about Bluetooth earwear? What about that? Study by the New Zealand government and the USGS on the Taupo. Supervolcanoes are pretty sketchy. I don't know where they're all located, and if you see earthquakes associated with them, please let us know. Now, we got to move on here because, again, not trying to make a ultra-long video here, as there is some important information. So let's look at weather.gov. Make sure this is refreshed to show you the current watches and warnings. If you're in any of these areas, have the appropriate Spanish galleon, kayak, skiff, hydroplane, hovercraft, helmets, body armor, bug out bags, moats, parachutes, Harrier jump jets, and whatever stuff you need to have in place. We see some freeze warnings once again. Some stuff going on in Utah. I think those are like, what is that? Winter weather advisories. And major flooding continues along the Mississippi, Missouri, Platte, and various other rivers. Be prepared for a disaster and be an asset instead of a liability. Let's look at tropical tidbits for a quick moment here. I want to take a look at what's going on in the North Atlantic. So let's just look at upper dynamics here. 250 millibar wind. I heard about some dust coming out of Africa. Yeah, we do have massive pressure gradients along there. Let me zoom out to a world-size view here. And there's the jet stream. That's the 250 millibar wind, by the way. If you want to check it out, go to Tropical Tidbits, click Forecast Models. This is Upper Dynamics, 250 millibar wind, GFS model. Now let's just see if we see any anomalous lows hanging around places like New Zealand and South America, where we've seen deep quakes. Yeah, there's a persistent low over west central South America. You see that? Also, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in that area around Indonesia and New Zealand. I've been only looking at that for about 6 months to a year, and there's always anomalous lows. Jet stream moving the wrong direction. Look how broken up the jet stream is, by the way, folks. I mean, it is all over the place. There are spots where it's going backwards, where it's making 180-degree turns over a period of 100 kilometers. It's funky, and it's attenuated by the Earth's magnetic field, which is why we look at the magnetosphere every day. Well, for various reasons, obviously. Talk about our officially endorsed channels. There they are again. Please check them out. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We're only at 1,171 subscribers. And we're looking at doing collaborations with various of those officially endorsed channels, by the way. Here's your U.S. Doppler radar, rather, at AccuWeather.com. More heavy rains across the central U.S. Bad stuff. At least the rain has moved off of Florida. And I'm pretty sure my mom hasn't watched the video from yesterday. I sent her the link. And yeah, she didn't view it. By the way, if you haven't checked out our Instagram page, feel free. What are we playing here? Dr. Steelshank. An homage to my best friend, Dr. Sam Afif. If you don't know who that is, well, too bad. I'm not telling you. We're going to close this thing out in a minute. We're going to try one more time to see some close-up SDO views. By the way, here's the Instagram page. This has got a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with space weather on it, and some stuff that does have to do with space weather. So if you want to see some behind-the-scenes smAsho gear, check it out. There's Pierre-Marie Robitaille's face. There's Kit Boga, one of the world's leading scam baiters. And if you don't subscribe to our Instagram page, you won't get Christmas cards like this one. So, yeah. And also, follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/smAshomash. Occasionally, your feed might even see our posts. You never know. By the way, if you're thinking about bicycles, head to veloshop.net, official bike shop of the Lehigh Valley Velodrome, an official bike shop of me. By the way, I'll probably be riding a bike that looks exactly like this shortly, because that is about what I need. Because my old aluminum Colnago is not cutting it. I need to pack on some miles, and look at the wheel set. Yeah, that's a real carbon wheel set, folks. That's the real deal. Whew. All right. I got to stop looking at that. It's raising my blood pressure. All right. Let's try one more time. Come on, SDO. Are you just... Is everybody trying to get these images at the same time, SDO? What's the deal? Hook us up. The gold one would be great. Let's 171 angstroms. Cross your fingers. Ugh. All right. Well, what are you going to do? Let's look at the close-up images. Almost as good. Full res, baby. Full res. Now, my computer is pretty beefy, but at that resolution, even my computer has a little trouble. There's the new Sunspot. That's 2736. And if that's not named yet, it's going to be. Because that will not be gone by the time naming conventions come out. It's a biggin. And let's take one more quick look at the X-ray flux. It looks like it might have dipped off. All right. Yeah, it looks like it's dipping back down. So, hey, congratulations, everybody who tuned in. You actually viewed our morning space weather during a solar flare. How about that? All right. So let me just get back to the chat here. Notice how we're adding features on a regular basis. Let's not crash the stream by messing with this too much. Let's get more SDO videos going here while we close out the comments. How about We haven't seen this one yet today. 304 angstroms. We should actually see the CME happen on this too, so maybe I should let this one play. Not particularly visible, but not half bad. I still think that CME came out of this. Again, folks, it's very minor CME. And most of it did stay on the sun. Most of it bounced back onto the corona. All right. Hey, I heard about a mystery boom in the Ozarks. Anybody hear about that? Possibly an earthquake? Felt like a sky earthquake, huh? Interesting. How long after eruptions does it take to cool the planet? That's a good question. A very short period in geologic terms. For instance, the ejecta from Bezimiani volcano would probably be evenly distributed around the northern hemisphere in about 10 days, I would guess. 2 weeks at the most. I'm not sure where in the Ozarks. I just see YouTube titles and I don't watch the videos sometimes because there's a lot of people posting a lot of BS on YouTube, if you've noticed. All right, well, it's time to close this thing out. I hope it wasn't too long this time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And we'll be doing it all again tomorrow. And we'll be doing a live stream today to celebrate the vernal equinox, which falls at 5:58 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be doing a little hanging out by the fire outside as long as we can have enough bandwidth out there, which I'm pretty confident that we should. Enjoy your day. Keep an eye on the sun. And remember, when you're tracking CMEs, don't drink. And if you drink, track CMEs. Just don't drive.